you know, you have to work harder when you're an immigrant, or else you won't make it here. My parents had a dry cleaning business, so I always had the clothes around me, and my mom did all the alterations. And so I remember so vividly as a kid, I would sit in a little chair next to her and she'd be like altering a dress or something, and the little excess fabric that would come off of like a dress or a skirt or a shirt, whatever she was like shortening, she would throw it all into this big box. And that became my box. And actually, that became my first taste of business because I started sewing those little scraps into scrunchies. And that was really like the first taste for me. It was like, wow, I got to like make this myself. And the kids are like lining up to buy my scrunchies for $1 a piece. And I feel like that really started it for me, honestly.
Where are we right now?
Okay, so today we are at Rag Finders of California. This place is kind of the end-all be-all place of dead stock fabrics. There's a lot of dead stock fabrics and closeout places in the garment district in downtown LA, but this one kind of has every single thing that you need in one place. So I thought this was the perfect place to bring you guys to show you where I shop. It's kind of overwhelming in the best way. So I'm gonna show you our little secret passageway. A lot of times this door is closed, so a lot of people don't know about this. One time I was like, oh, what's over here? And so I'll show you. I have been obsessed with vintage textiles for like as long as I can remember, and always had like a really big collection going. And I'm like, why isn't the stuff that we make now this good? And so like when I became pregnant with my first daughter, that's when it really dawned on me to do something like this, because I'm the kind of person that was just always so excited to be a mom. And so when I got pregnant, it was such a major milestone for me. Like, I can finally start shopping. And I like started looking around and I'm like, this stuff is not cute. I felt like everything was just really cheesy. And so I started designing stuff for her myself. And then, you know, it was like a little bit of word of mouth and people asking about it, or even like on the streets, if she was like wearing something, people were like, well, where can I get this? This is super cute. And then I was like, okay, maybe I can turn this into something bigger. I buy a lot of plain white dead stock fabric and then I print my own designs on them. It's just so much more sustainable because there's so much waste in this industry. They're not of lower quality, they're just excess from larger brands that buy like way too much excess, and then in the end either throw it away or they sell it to smaller closeout places. So this is one of those closeout places.
So if this wasn't here, then it would probably be in the dumpster.
Yeah. Or sometimes they burn it as well.
What?
Yeah.
So immediately, are you looking for something specifically, or are you inspired by the fabrics you see?
Both. A lot of times, like for example, like I just made a pattern for a women's pair of pants, and I have my eye out just for like, what do I think will be good for these women's pants? And I was really inspired by these like 70s orange corduroy pants that I found. So I have this general inspiration, and then I kind of look for like, well, what catches my eye? I feel like I've always been like that. So I would see certain like patterns or designs and be so inspired.
Oh, whoa.
Dead end.
Sometimes you get to a dead end if you want to see the dead end. It looks like someone tried to climb up to the window.
Exactly. I want it to be fun. I wanted kids' clothes to be like they were. They were fun, they were colorful, they were vibrant. So I felt like I had to create it. But I love the idea of like drawing my own prints and like knowing where, like making the trim, going to the place, getting the trim made, buying the buttons. Like my hand is in every part of the process. I didn't have any formal training in the fashion industry. Like I did not go to school for this. This was not my world whatsoever. So I was able to muster up enough to sew some samples on my own. And then I realized like, okay, I'm gonna need somebody better at this. And then through a pattern maker friend, she actually referred me to Ophelia over here. And then Ophelia started making my samples for me. And then once I had that going, she did my first batch of production as well. Everybody's like, oh, it's so hard to have a business that's all USA made. And I'm like, yes and no. Like there are people here. There are really great manufacturers. You can get stuff done. These people have such an amazing work ethic, and the craftsmanship that they can give me it's way better than anything that you can get that's just like mass produced, super quick, fast fashion somewhere else. And I just feel like it's really a dying industry over here. Everybody just sends everything overseas. And there's all these great factories and there's all these great people with all these great crafts that it's all just kind of slowly going out of business. You would never know that behind this door there is a ton of factories, and it's just so interesting. So many of them have been here for many decades, and so this is where I go to make my trims, and they also have their own elastic warehouse as well. They're milling elastic. Wow. It's very cool. Seeing my own parents work so hard and me going to work with them when I was little, I really realize now how valuable that was, and I want my own kids to see their mom be scrappy, to see me have an obstacle and it's hard, but I didn't stop and I kept going, and day by day I just figured out a little bit more and a little bit more, and I think that's really good for them to see. But it's so funny, we just walked in and I saw this bag up here, and this was some of my old stuff. Anything I find that's like from my pre-fire life, I'm like, oh my God. The night that we left, I thought there's no way, like our house will be fine, because I was like, well, there's no way it's going to blow through 1,000 houses and come to our house. That feels impossible. There was kind of two sides of my brain working, where one side was like, that's impossible. They won't let that happen, even though there was no they that night. But then the other side of my brain was like, oh my God, we got to get out of here. Like I see the flames, they're coming towards us. I don't want to get stuck in a crazy like gridlock traffic trying to evacuate. But still I was in this real state of shock. And then once we actually found out that our house was gone, for some reason I was okay. Like I was just kind of like, okay, you know what? We're safe. And then it kind of hits you a little bit later, just the kind of reality of what your life is, how much it's changed. I'm just like inspired by a little piece of trim that just feels so 70s to me. And it just makes me want to find a way to utilize this type of thing. If I see a beautiful vintage fabric, I just have to jump on it. I cannot stop. So that was one of the hardest things after the fires, because I had such an incredible vintage collection. It was really like a lifetime of collecting. So it was really hard to lose all that. I felt responsible. I'm like, oh my God, I destroyed all of this vintage fabric. I can't believe I had it all in one place and it's just like gone. My goal as a business was never to sell in every store in America and make like a shit ton of money. My goal was always to be a very beloved brand.
All of these people who have your clothing, it's like your art lives on in a way.
Yeah, it's actually that I love that so much, because it's a weird world where I lost literally everything. I didn't have like one thread left of my business, but that all of the stuff that I made, literally tens of thousands of items are out there, and that makes me so happy. Like these kids are still wearing my stuff. Like that didn't burn down, you know? Like that really thrills me. Just like how vivid and vibrant my brand was, and I'm like, I long for it again. Like especially like coming out of like a little bit of darkness, I'm like, yeah, I need that in my life. So I planted these sunflowers, but all back there's so much green. Those are fire followers. Have you heard of it?
No.
Oh my God, I was like so confused. I was like, how is there all this stuff growing?
Yes.
That's where the house was. So there were no seeds or anything under that. And then I came and all this stuff is growing, and there are these flowers, they're called fire followers, and they only sprout after a fire. So all around Altadena, you'll see all this like weird growth places, and they're all the fire followers, which is so incredible. It was so surreal because Altadena is so stunning. So to come back and there was this just like yellow haze everywhere, and it was so jarring. Everything just looked violent, and to look over and see like the man with the gun, and like my raised bed in my garden was like still smoking, and like there was like a coyote running by, and I was just like, what the hell happened?
Things won't ever be the same, which is like mourning the loss of that.
That was a hard pill to swallow, because in the beginning I kept thinking like, okay, we'll just do this, this, and this, and it'll go back to how it was.
Yes.
And then it really took me a while to be like, well, actually, no. At the same time, like just because it won't be the same doesn't mean that it won't be great. Like, it can be something else and be great. I mean, I've been saying it forever that Joonbird has the best customers, and I was really blown away. I mean, they were like, oh, hey, I work for Vans, let me send you and your family some shoes. Or like, hey, like I had a bunch of your old stuff that my kid outgrew, let me send it back to you so that you can make some patterns. I was really blown away, and it was so many. It was so many people doing so many kind things. I was just like, how do I even deserve this? It's a weird thing. They're like, oh, you're so resilient. And I'm like, no, I don't feel particularly resilient. I just feel like I have no choice, you know? Like it's either just totally give up or try really hard to get back up again. It's really weird to start from scratch after you had already established something.
Exactly.
So now it's so weird. I'm working at like the kitchen table and like trying to save money to like buy new fabrics, but I really feel so determined to make it come back even better. And I realized like this is either going to take me out and just make me lose everything and I just kind of live with it, or I fight really hard and I get my life back and I get it back better. Like I'll come back stronger. We'll have a new beautiful home. I'll have a new business that hopefully will be doing well. And I just realized there were those two paths. And I really had to just choose a direction and roll with it and hope that I come out stronger. After the fire, the first time I was like driving down Altadena Drive and the mountain, like everything had sprouted and it was really green. And I really just had to stop and pull over and like have a moment and be like, gosh, like, well, if that can all sprout, and like, so can I, you know, like I can bloom again too. Like I was like, I am the mountain. Like I connected with that so much. It just gave me a lot of hope.